role do you think institutional leadership and administration play in supporting the adoption of project or problem-based learning into their curriculum?
Thank you for that question, and I know that this institute, Anurag University, and many institutes like us, universities like us, and institutes like us, we have a very different kind of setup, and I'm comparing obviously with Aalborg University here, because Aalborg University is known primarily for problem-based learning, while we institutes, whether it is Anurag University or KG Reddy or MIT or many of us who are wanting to practice PBL, we are transforming from being a traditional university or traditional institute or traditional college to something wherein PBL can be practiced. And so, rightly pointed out by you and the theme of this panel, whole of the onus and responsibility lies on the leaders here, because it's a transformation. It's a change management problem more than the education innovation problem. So I think it's more of change management that the leaders like us will have to do. And when you ask me how we can support, the first and foremost thing is to clearly tell the intent. And this is the responsibility of the leaders at the institutes like us to very clearly know in all clear words to tell that there is an intent. Many a times it happens that leaders like us would like to do it, but we do not transform that vision. We do not translate that vision in clearer words to the people around. So there are many of the people who are wanting to do, many of the faculty members wanting to, many of the HODs leadership wanting to do, even the leaders like us wanting to do, but we are not conversing. We are not making the intent first. The second is prepare a roadmap, an action plan. If there is an intent, translate it, talk about it, gather consensus, and then create an action plan. That action plan cannot be left to somebody else. It has to be led by the head of the institute or leaders like us. Why? Because this is a big transformation in the way education is to be shaped up in engineering education. So it cannot happen by somebody else. It has to be driven from here. So those are the two things. There are many more, but I think again for the paucity of time, I will leave it to the other panel members also to comment on this and other questions. Yeah, thank you.
Next. My question is Mr. Joshi. What type of professional development programs are needed to work in a PBL integrated curriculum or PBL environment?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a very broad question, and when you look at teachers' professional journey, especially in higher education, we don't qualify to become teachers by learning how to educate students in higher education. So which means the onus of empowering the recruited faculty members lies on the institution itself. So that is how the journey starts. And my observation is when people join systems, they join with their strong beliefs, their biases, their likes and dislikes, in addition to their competencies and what are they known for. Actions eventually are governed by these, influenced by these things. Somehow I feel professional development is a thing, it cannot be done in a conventional way. The way the conventional FDPs, summer schools, winter, we have, I think all forums we have attempted, and when you look at them, when people come back, they just come back, that excitement doesn't stay beyond 48 hours. It's time for people to understand, realize, are there any better ways of doing this? I do not want to list what has been done, but today my challenge as leader in my university is, how do I motivate my faculty members? How do I, once I create that motivation, they find out what is the way to learn. Most of the times we prescribe. That is where we chose an approach through PBL certification course, where we realized that PBL being pedagogy, we thought institutionalized approach is what is required here. So we thought we will select a set of institutions, build a critical mass of faculty members in each of these institutions, empower them with PBL practices, and through them we will try to do institutional transformation. This is how we looked at. This is an alternate way which we have thought of. We have completed first cohort. Our results are very encouraging. Today I see about 18 courses from 5 institutions being redesigned for PBL pedagogy. We have also instituted systematic studies of how this is influencing mindset of people. When I attended the paper presentation sessions here, I realized that individuals and institutions are at different levels of maturity. But somehow, when it comes to professional development, I would like to challenge all the leadership. I think we should also get rid of this conventional thinking. We have to learn. The way student motivation is a big challenge. Faculty motivation is also a very big challenge here. So we need to innovate.
Bigger challenge. Yes. Yes. Faculty motivation is a bigger challenge.
By professional development programs, I mean not only for the faculty but also for the leaders. Because none of us are trained to do the job that we are doing. We are the best, one of the best people available for that. So they have been chosen to do that. But we are not professionally trained to do either administrative course or the teaching.
Right.
So how do we, not only for faculty but also for the leadership is what we are.
I have to humbly say, I have some ideas, but I have no experience in that. So I do not want to comment on that. No problem, sir.
No problem, sir. My next question is to Professor Xiangyun. What skills and competencies should faculty and leaders develop to successfully adopt PBL into their curriculum?
I would challenge the question first. Is it enough to have the skills or competencies, or what does it mean? I would firstly follow what Vice Chancellor has said. It depends on the institutional change map, a roadmap. What are your strategies as you are the one leading? What is your vision for this change? And then who are involved? There are multiple people. Faculty is just one of them. I would say skills and competencies are usually considered at the first step, but I would wait a bit because I think it's, as Josh said, it's their belief, it's their buy-in. And where does belief come from? And that's also a very good question. There's no one way. You can force your faculty to do PBL. They may have a practice without necessary belief in, and that's very dangerous. You may work on their belief, that will take a very long time. Belief building takes years. So there is no best way to answer you. So as I mentioned yesterday, I see it as a system thinking approach from this way. We firstly think of who are the faculties, who are them, and their motivation are mostly more challenging than students. Yeah. And are they with you with the institutional visions? Do they have the will and the power to change? Are they engaged to change? So all these interpersonal questions are rather important. And then whether they are able to connect their will to actions and interaction to students. So their learning, their competencies are developed through the interactions, and then how they make a difference in the institution. And that is exactly their academic leadership. For that, it really depends what is the institutional ideology or vision about academics. What kind of academics you want to build in your own institute. You want them just to deliver knowledge, information, or you want them to co-create something with your students. So now back to your question. Any competency skills you want your students to develop, your faculty have to have that beforehand. If they're not able to understand or experience what critical thinking is, what creativity means, there's no way they can support their students, right? So support them to have all this that you desire your students to have, then they will develop the competencies along the way. That's my experience.
Thank you. To summarize it, it could be that first we need the will from the leadership and the belief from the faculties and all the stakeholders involved, and slowly we can build those competencies along the way together, but there is no set agenda or set rule to follow, especially implementing such a huge change into our day-to-day working lives.
Yes.
I think you have nicely summarized it correctly.
Thank you.
My next question to Dr. Rohit. What must institutions do to promote widespread use of PBL, project-based learning philosophy, among faculty?
Thank you for inviting me to the panel. But we love sharing the stage with my mentors or the being there. With respect to this question, I can share about some of the experiences I have witnessed at my institution, also being a local president of Aalborg University doing your program. There are three-part answer to your question. I feel the adoption of PBL has to happen at multiple levels, but the primary stakeholder is the faculty to kind of take it forward. If you want widespread adoption, that means you want more people to adopt it. When you say more people, there are some of faculty who are very over enthusiastic, and in spite of whatever challenges, they will figure it out. But there will be a lot of others where if they have barriers in place, they might not kind of see it through. So, realizing the Indian scenario at large scale, most faculty have not designed their courses. Course design is not something we used to do. They've come from a more updated autonomous system, so we used to having AIC giving us a syllabus and we just go over teaching it. So recognition that course design is difficult, it takes time. So I think the workload of the faculty is the first thing that needs to be addressed, because if I am designing a PBL course, then I need to have that time and space, mental space to sit and understand how that needs to happen. And while I'm doing that, I'm primarily challenging most of everything of what I have learned and how I've done my education. So it's important to understand these challenges that they face. Beyond workload, for example, Anurag University, I personally requested the management that a few faculty who were part of the third-phase program, please reduce their workload because they're involved in the course. This is the design stage. When you go to the implementation stage, teaching courses through PBL is, I feel, more difficult and more challenging and more time-taking than in the traditional format. So recognizing that there will be more support required for the faculty in terms of kind of really doing this. Beyond this, from a leadership standpoint, like Dr. Archana mentioned, whatever I'm saying, if the leadership does not know all this, then it's hard for them to translate that vision to the faculty. So if you want to have widespread adoption, then it needs to be known that if I do PBL, it's going to be recognized by my institution. So the leadership vision and their support will be very critical. Simple things like when we were thinking about, when we go into the PBL certification, we move to the assessment. Assessment, I feel, is one of the most important aspects of PBL because we have to go away from the traditional assessment mode. More of the assessment to be on projects, more of it to be hands-on. But in our regular regulations, we have 50, 20, 20, 10, or whatever that is. So I had to really push the faculty here saying, go talk to your management. You can convince your board of studies that you can change some courses and try different assessment formats. So my confidence to them, they went and spoke to the management and they convinced the board of studies and they got the courses approved. So regulatory barriers are very huge in India, and I feel that's why leadership need to put a big role in kind of tackling those things. The last one is of course infrastructure. PBL based courses require different ways of classroom being there, laboratories being available. So infrastructure being available is key for widespread adoption. So I think if all these three come together, then I feel there's more space and more opportunity for institutions to have widespread adoption.
Thank you so much for such detailed roadmap for anyone interested to do that at their institution.
I just want to reinforce its thought.
Please go ahead, sir.
You know, especially in Indian context, it is historic time for us. We have at national level, national education policy, which has made such forward-looking recommendations towards educational transformations. All the regulatory bodies at national level, they are enabling. Today, if you look at the regulations, guidelines, they are trying to open up education for innovations. This is one thing that is happening. Secondly, at institutional level, what other evidence you want? Institutions are recognizing that they have to address this challenge of transformation. They are also committing. Faculty members have to be empowered. Classroom innovations, if they are supported by institutional leadership and there is blessings from policy and regulations, this is a perfect constellation. It doesn't happen often in life. We really have to make the best out of it. And my personal experience is, teaching is not job. It is at least to be treated as profession. So we should not talk in terms of workload and all that. I don't think we will be able to create anything worthy if we start talking like, I do not want to demean. We should not treat this as job. It's not workload. We have to bring in, we have to give our best because we are here in a different space. We have an opportunity to influence few souls, empower them. So that is how we have to take. Then institutional investment, policy, all of them make sense. I'm saying this because today I see closed-mindedness in deciphering the aspirations of national education policy. Policy says several things. Our practices have continued to be the same 4 years since its adoption. The blame eventually comes on faculty now. The blame eventually comes on academic community. We have to understand that it is in our hands. We have to start working. Thanks for giving additional time.
My next question to Dr. Archana. How can an institution assess its readiness to transition to PBL mode of instruction or PBL mode of teaching learning mechanisms?
Again, not a direct answer to this question is, if there is an intent, you are ready that day. Because if you wait for the day in change management, if you wait for the day when 100% of your faculty will be 100% ready, you will miss the bus. So if there is a clear intent and if there is inclination from a handful of, I would call them faculty champions, I think we are good to go. So, and then you have to jump into the water to test the water. You cannot be like standing out and taking lessons on swimming unless you plunge into the water and actually test how it is going on. So I think that's what I think. And as a leader, as an academic leader, I have tested this theory many a times. And there are disagreements, I know. In my own peer group, there are disagreements that you plunge into a big risk all the time. But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's my way of doing it. And that's what I want to translate, that if there is an intent, and if you can identify a handful of champions of faculty to do any transformation, not only PBL, you are ready. And then everything follows. I mean, you can make an action plan, you can take help of, Aalborg University, stalwarts like Aalborg University, and that there are many mentors out there available. So why not? If there is an intent, if there's a readiness, if there are people who are ready to go with you, I think you are ready, plunge into the water.
Ma'am, I keep, again, each of our esteemed panelists keep iterating that will and the belief to go forward is the most important thing. But are there any competencies required at any level of the institution to kind of support or kind of smoothen the process of transition? If they are so, can we also talk about that a little?
Yeah, of course. Without competencies and without proper training, this cannot happen. And I'll again take the example of, all these kinds of, I keep taking this example, my faculty knows about it, driving and swimming. So, okay, I mean, you have to be knowing swim before you actually jump into the, English Channel to cross it. You can't be doing it. I mean, you cannot jump, cannot jump like that without having that skill. But, so those competencies definitely, they are required. But I'm saying they can be acquired, the faculty can be trained. You were asking about the readiness, when to assess. So my straight answer was, if there is an intent, if there are faculty members, champion faculty members who are ready to take plunge with you, I think we are ready. Everything else will fall in place, and there will be, sometimes you will fail into something, experiment, sometimes you will succeed, but that shouldn't stop you.
Thank you.
Yep.
How can, ma'am, my next question is to Professor Xiangyun. How can institutions ensure that faculty is supported throughout the transition to PBL integrated curriculum? What kind of challenges they might face, and how can institutions make sure that they are supported?
Yes.
In both in European and any other context you might know.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be Indian.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. I try to make it concrete this time, which sounds to be too fluffy for you. Yes, competence are important. It just, if you target on it, then you are very instrumental. You become more mechanical. If you see the values, if you look at the visions, then the competence come along. But to answer your question, there are concrete aspects. Years of research show if you want to generate change in your institute, I mean, the faculties who have experience of PBL as learners, they tend to shift or develop their competence in a quicker way. It took them a shorter time. So that's one of the reasons, based on years of research. Now we are suggesting it's very important we do this kind of certificate program in which the participant goes through a whole experience as students. So that is a competence development process on its own. And during the program, we do support them. In the PBL environment, the faculty member has multiple roles. They shall design the problem. Where do the problem come from? It's a big question. It's a huge field on its own. So that is the process they learn through their experiences. So offer them a whole full learner process of learning that will be very beneficial in the long run. So if you take the patients from beginning, let them grow from the learning point of view, then you benefit long run in a quicker way. And also seen institutions who enforce practice change from beginning. You seemingly have a very quick change within 6 to 6 months. It can happen, but if people don't have deep understanding of what PBL is, they don't even believe in it, then you actually suffer in the long run. So my personal experience from research is I have been working through many faculty members. After 3 rounds of them implementing PBL in their own classroom, they tend to become more mature, confident, then they are able to also develop research skills coming along, looking at their student data. So that's a growth I see. So that's what I like to have, 3 cohorts, 3 trials to support the maturity. So that's one of the answers to support competence development. The institutions have the culture to allow people to try out, make mistakes. Faculty members, the group who are the most afraid to make mistakes.
And their leaders, of course. And we're all very afraid of failure.
Exactly.
Failure is such a big taboo that we cannot fail. Nor the students, nor the faculty, nor the leaders.
Yeah.
So everyone who wants to kind of start getting onto the process, I think this is the first step of accepting failure and experimenting as part of the process. I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Please go ahead.
It's a very great interpretation. So here is the thing, the senior leadership, we have been studying middle leadership these years because faculty's fear to make mistakes come from middle leadership because they are controlled by department heads and program directors. They are afraid, what if it doesn't work? What if students don't pass? What if students complain? With all the practical questions, everyone get afraid. Middle leadership is also a group, they carry a lot of responsibility without much power or autonomy. So if this group can be empowered by the senior leadership, if they know it's okay to try out, it's okay if things don't work out as you plan, and then they will also have more space to encourage the faculty members to allow them to try out. Primarily, there's not that much mistake too, because we all know the lecture-based teaching is already so bad. What can be worse? Right? One mistake can be worse than that. Well, go ahead. I stop here.
I would like the leadership and the faculty to answer that. But we can get to the questions at the end. My next question is to Professor Joshi. What are the key challenges that you have seen in your experience that faculty and their leaders do face while implementing PBL or redesigning the curriculum through PBL philosophies?
First challenge is lack of awareness. I'm telling you, based on my experience in Indian context. Of course. We don't even know that there is some better way to deal with situation. We are so blissfully ignorant. So leadership always has this responsibility of challenging the faculty and exposing them to global best practices. This is something which has to happen. Ignorance at various levels is a big challenge. If faculty is good and he is aware of, then next level is the department, especially student-centered learning practices. They are resource-hungry systems. It calls for a lot of resources, open mind, competence, resources. Then comes, when I say resources, even working hours, space, the amount of consumables investment that we will have to make. It is significant, and especially in Indian context, other than providing chalk-piece and duster, and these days one LCD projector, we think we can create transformative learning experiences through these things. I think we have gone, life has gone far ahead. Learning experience it is not teaching a course. So we really have to understand this. It calls for terrible investment. Another perspective is regulations. I have seen student-centered pedagogies require regulatory changes. Otherwise, it is severely affecting the performance of people. Teachers want to try, but regulations don't allow. Institutions are also not able to do anything. Luckily, today, at least for universities, there is freedom, which was not existing earlier. Yes.
Even the universities also have to follow the regulatory I mean, especially.
But they are open now. They are open now. It is not the case as it was my days. When we started, it was my principal who took the responsibility of protecting us. It's okay, you try, any problem I will face. That is the kind of courage leaders need to have. People will have, vision, but if leaders, vision alone is not enough. Vision and courage to try new ways, challenge people. Otherwise, we will not be able to accomplish anything significantly. So, regulations is another aspect, very, very important. So, when all these things align, then many things are possible. When it comes to governance, this intimidating governance systems we all speak on stage, many good things. But then when it comes to actually doing, am I really enabling? These are all, they have remained, rhetorics. I always say, believe in teamwork. Leader has to believe in teamwork first. Am I open to criticism from my team members? Am I open to listening to alternate thoughts? How do I expect good things to happen here otherwise? People are scared of voicing alternate thoughts fundamentally because they are punished. Governance is not a joke. It really, then comes, the way I say is, please start recognizing performance. Not every faculty in the institution is very bad, sir. There are few performers, whether you recognize them, you don't recognize, they continue to do good work. Leadership's responsibility is to recognize good performers, encourage them, stand by them, then others will start joining these people. Most of the times, anybody who tries an alternate way is punished. So nobody wants to try. So the third perspective is fear of failure. Take away that fear of failure. Leadership has to do that. It's all right, try a new way. If it doesn't work, I am there with you. As long as we both are committed to student success, we are allowed to work. This is the spirit with which education has to work. Only then innovations are possible. I am sharing all these things because I was very lucky and fortunate to work in such a system where we all had this understanding. And we were able to see exciting experiences for us.
Thank you again, sir. Next question to Dr. Rohit. What are the critical factors do you think are really important for sustaining PBL activities for long term? Just not one semester, 2 semesters.
You mean at an institution level?
At an institution level, to be able to do it year on year.
Some of my own research has indicated that you can see sustainable impact and long-term impact if you can tie up capacity building efforts with communities of practice. Because when we do these workshops or these faculty development programs, it's still very one way where we're learning from someone. Once we come out of that ecosystem, in our own institutions, there needs to be space for us to experiment, fail, try, and keep redoing those things.
Let me interrupt you. Could you talk a little more about community of practice?
I'm
because I don't
that.
understand that.
So communities of practice are just small, so this is a community of practice of PBL practitioners. The RRSPBL is bringing us together. Similarly, at institute levels, for common smaller things, for example, your clubs could be a small community of practice. So it's a smaller community where a group of individuals are passionate about something similar. So similarly, in an institution, you have, for example, 8 faculty from Anurag University who've got certified. Now, it's important to give them that space where they feel that they should disseminate what they've learned to others once they're back. And that doesn't have to be happening in a very structured manner, but they need to have that space to do it. So I feel in that process, once they are trained and they implement a few courses, there will be some wishfulness to want to share this with others. And I strongly feel, yes, fundamentally we're all here, we're teachers, and I fail to agree that there are no one who's passionate about teaching. There are many people who are passionate about teaching. In fact, recently in India, there's a huge focus on research, where there's common challenge from the faculty where they love teaching, but should we also do research? But there are many of them who love to teach, and for them, this is that space where they can get attracted to this community of practice for example, as PBL. And if you give them that space, the few members who are trained, they would be co-members, but slowly they will bring in more people, and then the community starts growing, and then you have more active members kind of being a part of it. So I feel that's one great way to go about it, and I see Anurag University team already doing that, so I do give my regards to them where the faculty are intending to work with other faculty. Beyond this, there needs to be, and these community of practices can slowly evolve and become centers of excellence, which we have in many institutions. But beyond this, culture is very important, and how you build the culture again comes back to leadership. It comes back to the vision that we bring in. Just taking my institution's example, we're very clearly articulating our vision statement that we want to be internationally recognized for our innovative teaching and learning culture. So it's very out there in our vision statement. So anyone knows that, okay, this is something that will be recognized by the management. There are incentives that are aligned to these. And incentives, human resources, all this come together. When it comes together, the culture building happens. And if the culture building happens, then I feel we're sorted because the culture has been built, and then there's definitely going to be long-term engagement in these particular aspects. So yeah, two answers: have community of practices which has key leaders who want to take it forward. Even in your 8 faculty, everyone at different stages. Some of them are published papers, some of them are redesigning new courses. So find those ones who are wanting to share with others and give them that space and opportunity to grow. Beyond that, I think as from the top, we need to have that, like Dr. Archana mentioned, you need to translate your vision to everyone. Everyone needs to know that if I do this, I will be recognized in this institution. And I think that's where more people will take it on them to want to take forward.
Thank you so much. With your permission, I would like to open the panel for questions from the audience. Anyone do have questions, please do raise your hand. It need not be only about things we discussed. Any doubts or any systemic challenges you might have faced at your institutions, if you want to clear those, any of those, I think no better than this team of expert individuals.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Himabindu from Geetanjali College of Engineering and Technology. My major challenge is changing the syllabus towards adoption of PBL. How to face that challenge?
Which professor?
Undergo PBL certification.
No, sir. It is related to students also. How can we implement to change the syllabus of students towards PBL?
So that is what the whole that certification program is about that. But
What are the major challenges?
you will face challenges local to your context. There are,
I can share a few just because you're asking.
Yes, sir.
More generically, it first starts with faculty. Do they understand PBL? Has their mindset about just the teaching learning process changed? Are they willing to be more student-centered? So these are all belief system individually. Then when you go with respect to implementation, you will have challenges in terms of assessment. It takes in more effort. Can you assess beyond just our regular MCQ or the descriptive tests that we have? Further looking beyond students, you will have, like Joshi sir mentioned, there will be a lot of local things, but you are now challenging the students also. You are asking them to do PBL-based courses demand a lot than our traditional courses. Here, the demand will be throughout the semester. It's not like I have 2 mid-exams and then end semester. Throughout the semester, you need to engage. There's high expectations on assignments. So all these are very against, opposite to what students also have gone through. So I think just fundamentally mindset and belief system where you're challenging everything that we've done, and there you will have some who kind of agree with you, some who will challenge you. So, these are some things that we've observed through this certification program, but beyond this there will be a lot of local contextual problems that, like Archana ma'am mentioned, just jump into it and then you'll figure it out. But
Are you a practitioner yourself for PBL?
Now only I started, ma'am. Recently I started.
Yeah, so that is one. So it's not about syllabus change primarily in PBL, it's not about syllabus change. The same syllabus, the same outcomes, you approach it differently. So the very thing, the question that syllabus needs to be changed, my answer is no, syllabus doesn't need to be changed. It's the same course outcomes that you approach from a different angle.
Okay,
By a
ma'am. Thank
different
you.
approach, okay?
This conference offers you an opportunity. There are people here who have been practicing PBL for over 10 years. There are also people who started this journey last year. They are available here. I can name them. Please go talk to them, have a cup of tea with them. You will know more than what you can get from us.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hello sir, I am Professor Reddy from Hyderabad University, Mumbai. We are not a practitioner of PBL, but in the last month we have a small session on PBL, so we have a couple of doubts regarding that. So let's say that in one particular curriculum we need to implement PBL on one particular topic, let's say on the gears, and there are some few more topics that are is there in the syllabus. But let's say that we are implementing on a particular topic only, that is on the gears, and while assessing those students on that particular topic, what are the various tools that we can use? Because for the rest of the modules or rest of the chapters, we are using the regular assessment tools. But as we have implemented on one only particular topics for the PBL, in that case, what can be the various assessment tools that we can use over here? Because we cannot use the same assessment tools for partial topics and for next year. What can be done over here?
I think, it's question directed to you.
Would you like to answer? Go ahead. Okay. So, see, there is no direct answer to this question when you are saying, and it's not a kind of in next 2 minutes I can answer that question or give you a prescription, as Joshi sir always points out. PBL is always an experience which the faculty and the students together or one by one have to go through. So when you ask what could be the assessment type, there is no direct answer to it. But of course, with a claim I can say that the same assessments which you use for your traditional courses, traditional teaching will not serve the purpose for PBL. That's a strict law. But beyond that, what could be probably a more intense, detailed discussion would be required as to how you are designing your course, or if that topic or if that maybe one or two of the learning outcomes you are wanting to design through PBL, then it requires a detailed discussion. Okay, so I will be failing in my duty if I say this is the prescription, this is what you need to do. No, it's not possible to do that. Okay, unless you want to disagree and give an answer.
Prescribe.
Prescribe something to him. That's possible.
Let's say that if the students are doing some project work and they understand that particular topic, but while explaining any particular topic, we go in depth while explaining that. But while they learn by themselves, there are some critical areas they don't interfere or they don't overcome over those critical areas. So how we should make sure that all those critical areas have been covered by the students? Because as they have to.
That's what. So project-based learning, as with any other different kind of pedagogy, it has to be, you need to train yourself. Whether it is project-based learning or problem-based learning. So once you are clear that you need to do this, you need to train yourself. Either through being a part of a community of practice, or attending a workshop, or attending sessions like these, you need to train yourself that how I need to approach this, if I need to do this. Okay, it's not like a question and an answer. It's not like that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm not able to give you a prescription, but I cannot.
Thank you for the guidance, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, all of you. Myself, Dr. Kalpana from Knowledge Institute of Technology from Tamil Nadu. Actually, in our institution, we are having a strategy plan for implementing project-based learning, and we are in the beginning stage. And two, as of now, what the clarity I need is, as an Anurag University or Aalborg University, you are always practicing project-based learning, and for the past 10 years you are practicing that. As a beginning institution, we are having an intention to implement that. In what way we have to mold the faculty to come out of the traditional way of teaching, classroom-based teaching, and what are the challenges you have faced in your initial phase, and how you overcome that. If you give some tips, we can able to follow it.
I think Dr. Joshi and both of them answered already your challenges.
Madam, actually, when your previous person spoke and when you are speaking, I really see that genuine intent to try. As such, we have no solution now. But
we won't able to
by tomorrow evening, allow me to, by tomorrow afternoon, we will be able to roll out some of our plans. Hold on, right? Because how much we can do is also limited, and this is a voluntary initiative, right? So we will share some of our plans with you tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, sure.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, surely, but we do appreciate that you are here and you are raising those questions, and you have already, your brain has already those ticking cells that, oh, if we need to do this, what's the first step? It's the right question in your mind, and with many others. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Mansoor from School of Management, Anurag University. So you can see I'm from School of Management. I've been searching for the answer since yesterday. I've been attending these sessions, problem-based or project-based learning. Because I've seen many engineering disciplines become interdisciplinary, like mechanical people make devices, CSE people make apps. I just through your experience, I just wanted to know, because the same question I asked during the Professor Preeti session also. So how this management disciplines like maybe strategy, organization behavior, the other subject, how we can implement it. As such, in Anurag University, we are implementing PBL in other disciplines, but in School of Management, so what are the scopes for us? See, when you look at the problem, we just come up when team building or some financial aspect, these things will come. I hope I'm clear with my question. Yeah.
Who is stopping you? But first to answer my question. You belong to my university. Who is stopping you from practicing PBL?
No,
Why not?
nobody stopped, but there's a platform.
Unlimited scope.
No, yes, ma'am. Nobody stopped, but I think there's a platform not created. That this is my no doubt which I'm getting since last couple of days.
So create a platform yourself. You have all the support.
I just wanted to hear your experiences, one or two platforms, anything is that will also give me a kickstart for that. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to clarify a misconception. Problem-based learning doesn't mean that they're working on developing a product or a solution. Because you thought, mechanical, they can do this. For example, human resources. I'm an engineer, but I look into human resources in my institution. I can teach about performance appraisals to someone and then tell them, okay, for this institution, for a teaching role, please design a performance appraisal for me. So it's giving them a problem in the context that matters to you, and the problem the way they solve the problem needs to be in terms of what you're teaching them. So I just want to clarify, it's not about developing products. It's not just technical. In strategy, universities have strategy, but many higher education institutions don't have strategy. So could you think about asking students to design a strategy? So it's really about, I think if I clarify that, I thought maybe I would answer your question. So irrespective of which management principle you're teaching, there would be things that they have to do. It's management doesn't mean it's not technical.
Yeah, might be the entrepreneurial or integration kind of thing we required, I think. I got it. That.
Sir, my understanding is every discipline of knowledge has its own nuances, and that is the basis on which you also choose certain pedagogies. I'm not an expert from business school, but I know that case studies are predominantly the ways you deal with, you create learning experiences to your people.
I had a multidisciplinary university. I am trying to understand. In fact, if you look at PBL finds its origin in medical education. Medical education. So it is not that PBL is panacea. No, it is not that. Look into your context and then see what is appropriate. You have to make an evaluated decision.
Yes. Thank you.
I think in the interest of time, last question.
Good afternoon, sir. Actually, my last question is, I'm a new faculty. Because I was practiced with the traditional classroom teaching, I'm moving towards this because I was so much interested, because as we all know, teacher is the role model for the students. We are in that traditional methodology. We are moving toward this project-based learning. When we start the particular steps, students are inspiring. They are enjoying. They are expecting more time we have to spend with that. At that point, we are getting some, we are losing some confidence. Can we have the capability to satisfy? Because students are, nowadays students are technically more than us. So how we prove our as a role model for these further generation students? Yes, this is the, because I knew, I want to know this.
Madam, as a teacher, I will tell you my personal experience. You know, long ago, I used to go and try out of excitement. You know, I liked something and I go and try. And then neither I measured anything, nor I bothered whether my excitement I was able to transfer it to my students, and nor was it sustainable. Later, when I realized that education is imparted through designing quality learning experiences. Learning design it is. It's a serious business. If you put yourselves in that role and do proper learning design and then deliver, I am very sure your confidence is pretty high. Personal experiences I am sharing. Thank you.
Actually, when we start with this strategy, students are more excited and they are ready to provide solutions to the society. But we are lagging that. So that whether through this method, through this project-based learning, we can gain that confidence, is that methodology and assessment, everything, because we are lagging when we are taking as a students, they are more than that. We have to accept them. So for that, we need some training like that.
Also, just get away from any fear of failure. In my 8 semesters where I studied at MIT Manipal, my favorite teacher came in from management school because he would treat us as a peer. There was no power hierarchy there. He wouldn't think that, okay, I am greater than the students. So there were genuine conversations, genuine discussions that he facilitated through the course of the program. So I feel that also, I know it's very hard, but I think in the modern age, when these kids are growing with phones from a very, very young age, they have access to a lot of information. So they're way more smarter than what we would be at their age. So I think just remembering that and if possible, not having that power hierarchy of treating them as a future peer, I think could ease out your initial hesitation or maybe those things that you're facing.
But please make it fast.
You may need it.
So before that, I would like to also address, I think one of the main outcomes of conferences, organizing conferences like RRSPBL, is to have that support system of PBL practitioners to help anyone interested go forward in their institution or in their personal or professional life. That is one of the key outcomes of RRSPBL, to raise the awareness and also create that kind of support mechanism for anyone interested. I really hope that you will be able to find like-minded individuals or educators from different institutions who can maybe get together on a virtual call once a week to discuss what kind of practices work, will not work in our Indian context. So that is the only reason why we wanted to get all of them on a single platform, so that our experts can tell us what we can do, and everyone else can just come together and work together and maybe change the system for better.
I'm Dr. Naveen Ravela, Director
Vasireddy Venkatadri Institute of Technology, Guntur. Yeah, most of your faculty members, I'm a bit ahead of you, so that I would like to answer Madam's question, compliment what you have said. You need not worry, your students will always be better than you nowadays. Tomorrow you can say that Mr. Rohit was my student. That's it.
That the end of?
Yes.
Can I? Thank you so much for patiently listening to professors and leaders from across the world. Thank you all once again for imparting your wisdom and your experience and giving us insights into PBL integration into our curriculum. Again, thank you all.
Thank you for your moderation.
Thank you. Excuse me, we do have